Good. Got it. It's on live on YouTube.
Okay,
Go for it.
we got that. And then what I need to do is it live on YouTube?
It says meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Okay, great.
Are you doing Facebook too?
And you're gonna have to turn the YouTube off on your voice. You have to mute YouTube.
I don't have it, so it's
Okay.
not on.
I will have to do that. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and push record.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're so excited to have you. Today, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're just going to get real. We're going to have questions at the end. You can ask Robert or me. And we just want to give people hope in this moment of chaos in our lives. We want to talk about some ways to handle your stress and anxiety. And before we begin, I'd like to go ahead and give a little background on my guest, Robert Smith. He is the founder of Eutaptics. I had to put my glasses on, sorry.
Start at the one I sent you. It's on here.
Yep.
Okay.
So here we go. Robert Gene Smith is a behavioral engineer, neuroplastician, the founder of the creator of Eutaptics, FasterEFT, international trainer, and a feature speaker in the movie Emotion. Robert is an expert in his field and knows how to help people update their mind and create a better quality of life. Through the techniques developed with Eutaptics and FasterEFT, Robert has been able to help nearly over 3 decades people that have been having debilitating physical pain, severe emotional complexities, mental issues, including PTSD, OCD, ADD, ADHD, weight loss, grief, depression, anxiety, as well as being an expert in addictions. Robert has simplified the understanding of how the brain works and has it made it easy to understand how simple it can make life-changing techniques we're going to use to change the mind. And that's what we're going to talk about today, Robert.
Very exciting.
How can we really begin to address what's going on? Because I know for me, a lot of people have shared, that they're really stressed out about the current day events.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the basic problem that we all face is fear.
Yeah. Well, you have to understand, of course, I started a long time ago. If I were to consider my life at 15, I left home because home was not good. And I moved in with my grandmother because of stress and emotions. Even though when I grew up in the home, that was normal until I experienced going to my aunt and uncle's house for the summer and realized life can be peaceful. So when I went back home, I said, Mom, I don't want to live here anymore. I want something better. And she wouldn't let me go back to Louisiana, but she let me move with my grandmother. Well, the problem is, from your life, our lives, our upbringing, and what we personally experience taints our view of the world. And if you were born in an emotional, toxic world, you have a natural tendency to be scared and anxious, which means we have a tendency to replicate our emotions from our childhood today. So if you've had a lot of trauma, a lot of unhappy, unpleasant experiences, those experiences, even if you never go back and visit and think about them, they impact all decisions. And it doesn't matter if the boss walks in or if it's crazy stuff on TV or anything, your natural response will be built from what you've already experienced. You could have 5 people, the same job, the same boss, says the same words to everybody at once, but one person is extremely stressed, angry, pissed off, and bothered, grabs her purse, grabs her cigarettes, grabs a candy bar and a soda, and go down, try to soothe this emotional anxiety, which doesn't actually change the cause. It's almost like a pacifier. And that's how, honestly, this is how addictions are created. Addictions are basically, I feel bad. What must I do to feel good? Oh, cookies, cakes, ice cream, drugs, alcohol, smoking, shopping, cleaning, gambling, anything to divert my attention from what's going on now. So the world is a bit crazy now, and And there's a word game plan going on, and everybody's being emotionally affected.
Yeah.
Just yesterday I stopped to get gas, and it's $3.19 a gallon. Last year it was $1.80.
Try 375 here.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
wow.
over $4 or $5 in California. So
Wow. So it's just, and so I'm thinking, shoot, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to be very conservative. So now I decided to drive slower.
oh, I'm sure that works.
So there is craziness. And then of course
Yeah.
you see the weirdness going on in schools, and there's a lot of weird stuff. And then of course they're trying to force vaccinations on people. Where does equal rights come from? Where does the HEPA laws kick in? And the weird thing is they said, well, you can't get COVID if you get the shot, and they lied. You can get COVID still. And then now you got to get a booster shot. And how many booster shots you're going to have for the next 20 years of your lifetime? Who's making the money? That's the question I ask.
Unfortunately, it always comes down to the money. But in the meantime, a few people are really benefiting from what they're creating, but it's causing so much trauma for everyone. Like addictions have went up, suicides have went up, even in our kids, suicide has went up so high. So why they create kind of terror, I'm just going to say a psyop. I mean, it's kind of a psyop, a psychological psyop that they've created to continuously attack with their rules and changes and lies and what we're supposed to comply with and what we can't and what we're not supposed to do. And
it is a bit strange for sure.
So I mean, this person, I watched the talk, and he said that, I think, a really true statement. He said, there is not one single person right now in this world that really isn't being affected. Maybe the children to some degree aren't, but a lot are.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they can't go play with their friends. They can't go to school. I mean, and then, because I work with a lot of people with, for example, OCD, obsessive compulsive. It's not a disorder. It's a coping mechanism. Sure. But, one of the things is, for example, this one woman who comes in and she has a horrible fear of germs, washing her hands 20, 30 times a day. And I started asking questions like, where did this begin? When it began? And the weird thing is, it started with a commercial on TV, a commercial. I don't know if you ever saw that commercial where they have these little monsters crawling out from under the fingernails, the bacteria and all that. In her mind, every time she was going to touch the doorknob, she would visually see these monsters on the doorknobs. So then she was so afraid of touching things. What are they doing to our kids, these innocent kids? And scare and fear of the invisible. Yes. The invisible something, and that's where the bizarreness is really happening to our children. And I'm thinking, in 20 more years, we're going to be seeing a lot of these kids in therapy because they're terrified of the invisible thing.
Yes, absolutely. And the poor kids, I mean, they have no idea what masks are doing to they need to connect, and they need to see faces, and they need to know that they can connect and give hugs and feel love, and they're taking that away. But it is my belief that they're doing it purposefully, and they know exactly what they're doing.
I mean, if I'll just get off a little bit on this for a second, not too much. I was driving up here, and I was thinking all these weird things happening. It's almost like someone's playing chess, and they're good chess players with America. Because if you think about it, if you destroy the police officers, you attack the military, you attack our children, and you create invisible enemies, such as global warming, such as race baiting, and such as the invisible virus. And they get people fighting and hating and having turmoil within our country, within your families.
Absolutely.
Then, of course, now they're trying to get America so in debt that we will never pay. Who's going to come in and save us or take over us? This is a bizarre behavior. And the weird thing is, they're attacking honest, integrity people. They're attacking them, and they're attacking them in many ways, in different ways, because if they can get rid of the people who have integrity, personal value, American conservative values, America first, and all this, and they get rid of these guys, they're going to have they're going to have all their own people destroying us. Right. And that's a bizarre thing. Now, by the way, even though I'm saying all this stuff, you cannot let this eat away at yourself. You've got to have peace within yourself. One of the things that I did, I'm looking at all this stuff. And so I thought, man, I need to take care of myself, especially last year when there was no foods on the shelf and there's having all the rioting and all that stuff. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to be smart, not emotionally crazy.
Yeah.
I thought, how can I take care of me? So I sold my house. It was paid for. I bought 160 acres. I paid for everything. My house was paid for. Bought a mobile home, not a great one, but it had nothing on the property. It had no water, no electric, no sewage, no house. And so everything I'm doing is I'm paying for because I need to take care of me. And so I'm going to grow my own garden. I bought me 17 Longhorn cattle, and I'm just going to do whatever it is. So now I'm a rancher. Never was a rancher in my life. Never had a cow in my life. Never drove a tractor. But again, it goes back to look at where you are in your life. What can you do for yourself to keep yourself safe, secure, and then just do what you got to do.
And be prepared. I mean, we don't have to be afraid if we're prepared. That means if you know a food shortage is coming, go get your food, go get stocked up for a couple months. Not everybody can go get a ranch, but you can go get the food that you need to survive for your family, and you can get water. You can get things if there's no electricity or heat. Those are the things to think about because they do say that's coming in the next couple months. So the best way is to be prepared. And a lot of people don't know how to handle stress. So that's why we wanted to bring out the information about Eutaptics. So why don't we, for a minute, talk about Eutaptics? What is Eutaptics? What can it do to help a person right now?
Yeah. Well, Eutaptics FasterEFT is a process that understands the network of the mind. Basically, you've heard the old saying, the sages will say, know thyself. What I'm doing is I'm showing you how to know what you are doing within yourself. I call it directed mindfulness. That means directing what's in your mind to create something better. It's a natural process the brain does. It's not into weird stuff. It's not into angels, imps, fairies, demons, or anything else. It's directly mental mechanics. 1 + 1 is 2. You do this, you get this. It's that simple. And the cool thing is people have, you are definitely a testament of this. I wish you could see the video when Laura started coming seeing us. It is on YouTube. She looks 180% better than she's ever, and her life has changed in a tremendous positive way because we're addressing the hurts. We're addressing what we hold inside of ourselves. It has a healthy philosophy about who you are, where you are. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. But there's simple ways that your brain can naturally you can use your brain to update some of the worst possible memories ever. It was, I don't know if you remember, who Stephanie is there in Las Vegas. We met for her birthday, and the big, tall German guy, of course, he introduced himself, shook my hand. He goes, well, what do you do? I said, I'm a neuroplastician, behavioral engineer, and I help people change memories. He says, you can't change memories. I said, you can't, I can. And then later on, after we ate our dinner, he started sharing a memory with me when he was 15 years old. And he was in Germany, and he witnessed somebody's head decapitated who was riding a motorcycle. He wasn't emotionally distraught when he shared that. Don't make up pictures with it, guys. And then I said, I'm just kind of curious. In your mind, as you recall the memory, how do you see it inside your mind? He says, well, I see me, and I see it happen in front of me. And I said, interesting. And I said, now let me ask you, is it in color? Is it in black and white? He says, it's kind of grayish. I said, okay, let me ask you something. Can you see me? He goes, yeah, I see you. I said, do you see you looking at me, or do you just see me? He says, I see you. I said, I don't know if you realize this, but your brain has already started making adjustments to the memory, because when you look at it inside your mind, you're watching it like it's on a movie screen, and you're not watching it or experiencing it like it originally happened. And was it at night? He said, no, it was in midday. He said, it's the colors have started to adjust, fade out from the memory. Therefore, it releases the emotional intensity. He goes, I'll get back to you. So he didn't even know his memories were already starting to be adjusted. Now, by the way, this is probably 30, 40 years ago. We could do the worst possible memory, like what I did with Laura. Mm-hmm. She did. I was invited to a matrix imprinter. She was there. She didn't even know why she knew who I was. And obviously I sound like someone from Missouri or something, Oklahoma guy. And so she volunteered. She never shared anything about what that memory was.
Right.
And I don't know how long it was, maybe 30, 40 minutes. The
Yeah.
memory had adjusted and changed where it doesn't bother. And I think even that true, even to
I
this
think it was
day,
like in 2010.
Yeah,
So,
maybe.
and it still does not bother me at this moment at all.
Very good.
So I've never had it bring up again at all, any emotions whatsoever.
Very good.
And I did that with a million different memories.
Yeah. So again, this is a game changer for your life. Now, of course, if you're out there on the fence and you've tried, people have come to my system and said, I tried everything, you name it. I tried it all. I'm still just as screwed up and maybe even worse. One guy came in to see me. He'd been in therapy for 7 years. He went to the therapist for one fear, and he had 27 fears when he came to see me after 7 years, because the brain has this capacity to compound, add, and or subtract if you know what you're doing. So again, what I do is I help people to discover how to change yourself. Now, granted, I help a lot of people. A lot of people are afraid of their own head, and they don't know how to do it. It's almost like, I mean, I got a Mac here in front of me. I venture to say the new ones, you can't do it. The older ones, I can take a Mac apart. I can put a hard drive in, I can put memory in, and I can put it all back together. But if you don't know how to do it, you could really screw up a good computer. And that's what people are doing with their lives. They go to somebody who's going to wave a magic wand or have them scream at something or beat something or put rocks on them or something, thinking it could help them. And it may make them feel good until they go back and start thinking again. But what we're doing is really deep internal shifts and changes neurologically, the real deal, because it is pretty simple when you understand what you're playing with and what you're dealing with and how it works. And that's what I do. I teach people how to take control. I mean, we had people who've taken the course, Hashimoto's disease, it's incurable by the doctors. It's gone. Lupus, blood tested, proven lupus there, blood tested, lupus gone. And how did we do that? By merely changing emotional memories, traumas, hurts, fears, phobias, what you play in your mind, because the brain is what we call a recycler. It recycles the bad experiences and emotions over and over again until you either one, figure out how to change it, or it destroys you.
Right. And do you think that's what's happening right now with a lot of people in everything that they're seeing all these things from in different perspectives because of our experiences. But it's like, I think our past is being triggered sometimes. Oh, yeah. For me, what's triggering me is the people that were abusing me growing up with the same tactics are using it on the whole society.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, that's really incredibly triggering.
But yeah, it is interesting too. There are specific tactics that you can manipulate people. I mean, Hitler was great at it. He had a great team who knew how to manipulate people. He's not the only one. People do it in different ways. I don't watch TV, but when I was at the airport, I walked by and I heard some talk people on there, and I said they're using emotional manipulation. They're using fear and intimidation on the public. Right. And I thought there is something fishy going on. And so then I don't watch TV still now, but I do go on to YouTube. I go into different places and I kind of see that. But I can see that there is emotional manipulation. And so what they're going to do is, first of all, they're going to scare you. They're going to intimidate you. Yep. They're going to bribe you. And then they may try to incarcerate you if you don't go along with their story. Right. And of course, you can see this. You can see it with Facebook. You can see it with YouTube. Anybody who, I mean, we're talking about real medical professionals who's been in it for years, who has even tested science that proves what they're saying works. And then now they're kicked off. Yeah. There is a bizarre thing going on. But here's the deal, guys. For you personally, you got to own your emotions. You got to own how you respond to them. And you got to create your own smart plan, and do not spend time creating fears and worries. Do what you can to do what is healthy and right. You know what I'm saying? Just be really smart. So one of the things is knowing how to change your stressed reactions. And again, remember, stress is the body's reaction to perception. It means how you perceive it, how you translate it internally. And your perception is developed and built from your previous experiences, good, bad, and or ugly. So how you translate it is based on your internal references. And so if you have bad references, you're going to have a bad translation of the events going on. Granted, there are people who do bad things.
Right.
Are you going to let it destroy you, or are you going to make a decision to protect you? And there's two different parts. So one of the things is I teach people how to diffuse the stress reaction. And sometimes, granted, if you have abuses all your life and you have a lot of it, it's a little bit difficult, but you can do it one piece, one moment at a time. And that's what we're doing is learning how to take control of our thoughts, changing the unpleasantries in your mind. And as you change those, you adjust you and you create resilience, and you'll live longer.
So if you were to explain somebody, like if they wanted to just work with themselves and they're like, okay, I'm so stressed out of everything that's happening. What can they do to just work with themselves? They probably, sometimes we do need a therapist, but we don't always have the ability to have one that practice, these kind of modalities. But how could we show them just like a way to handle just stress? It doesn't have, we don't have to work with a specific reason.
Well, one of the things that I highly recommend, again, the know-how to adjust yourself and change yourself is worth $1 million health dollars. I mean, it'll extend your life. So one of the things I highly recommend, go watch my videos. I have free courses. Take a course on how to do that. Secondly, I use a psychosensory process, basically as a tapping. Now, the reason why we use tapping, it's just touching. Also, we call a defractionation. Basically, when you have a problem and you're being triggered, you're going into what we would call a trance, an autonomic response built from your past. And so what you want to do is you want to come out of that. And so as you come out of that, you diffuse the emotions or the physical reactions, then you can operate with mental emotional clarity. Because when you're emotionally jacked up, anger, fear, hurt, etc., your references at that point in time are not what you call the best references. Therefore, you have a tendency, could make a bad decision that will not only cause you harm, but create more harm in your life later. So one of the things is I recommend learning how to relax yourself. Now, the tapping is really a relaxation process. All it does is relax you. It's a defrag. That means you go inside your body and you notice that you're tight, or you notice the pictures in your mind that you're using to scare yourself. You notice it. And then we would use tapping, and you just lift your head up. Don't think about anything about what you're thinking, and take a deep breath and come away from the stressor in your mind, in your body. Go think of a happy memory and feel good. So now you're changing your emotional state and you're feeling better. Then go back and visit the memory or the sensation in your body. Notice what's left. This is what we call you're going into the stressed trance reaction.
So let me explain that real quick. So we're saying, okay, I just watched a video on YouTube, and they're talking totally about, we're going to be attacked in some way. We're all going to hell. We're going to be put in a camp, whatever it is. Okay. So my anxiety is at 10. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say, okay, from 0 to 10, how much does this bother me? Okay. I'm going to say,
you would feel that it bothers you. Now, again, remember how you internalize this experience, because again, some people say, okay, maybe that's true. So what must I do? Other people will get high anxious. They'll feel panicky. They feel like life is horrible. And then
that's who we have to address.
Yeah. And then what they're doing is they're actually making up bad stories in their mind. They're creating images. And the reason why they're doing that is because in their past, they have also other experiences that their brain is using to amplify the current situation.
Right.
So
and all of that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
But today I just want to make sure that we can give them in the moment techniques, and then they can explore with your videos and YouTube and that kind of thing. Okay. So basically I'm a 10, so I'm going to tap and I'm going to tap.
Okay. So let me explain a little bit better. All right. So the first thing you want to do is identify internally how you know there's a problem. Okay. I mean, do you have a picture in your mind? Do you feel a
Feel
feeling
it.
inside your body, or do you have words inside your head, or a smell or a taste? So then what you do is you notice whatever it is internally, how you represent it. The
Okay.
second thing you want to do is you can tap, and you don't have to tap. There's other ways of doing it too, but tapping seems a very fast kinesthetic relaxation process. So you aim internally first,
Okay.
notice what it is, and then you tap. And I recommend, when I do it, I lift my head up and I look at the ceiling, and I do not think about what it is I'm tapping on. La, 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 cock-a-doodle-doo, let it go, let it go, let it go. Smile big, say cheese, cheese, come away from it.
Peace.
Grab your wrist, take a deep breath. Relax, say peace. Now think of a happy memory, something that makes you feel good.
Okay.
You and your dog, you and your children, smile with it. Now let's go back and check what it is that you were doing internally that was bothering you. Go back and look at it, think about it, see if it still bothers you, and notice what it is.
Okay.
And then see what's left, and then do it again.
Somebody might relate to this. I'm just kind of playing along with you. I don't really have any reason. I just feel it. Like I don't know why I feel it. I just feel this anxiety in my chest.
Yeah. So to explain, let me explain the mind. It has 5 basic types of memories.
Okay.
Now, all stress reactions today is a metaphoric expression from yesterday. That means all the previous moments right now. So when you have a kinesthetic response, consciously, you don't know why you feel this, but the feeling by itself is a memory within itself. It's a metaphoric expression of many memories. Who knows? The brain is a great organizer. And so then you can go to the feeling inside your body. Now, some people have pictures in their head. They're saying the worst possible scenario, or they have bad words inside their ears. So again, you have to internally notice how you are doing it within you to you. And then again, you tap on it, or you don't have to tap. You can just smile, cheese, think of happy memories, smile, deep breath, and peace. Go back and check inside. You'll notice after the first run, you're going to notice that your stress reaction could change. But say sometimes you may get to a point where it's not changing because inside you may be going to a memory over here, not the one in front of us that's really stirring us, because we're using our previous memories of being locked in a closet or in a trunk, or being trapped in a room with a bunch of people that don't like you. Then that will be stirring up your moments of stress reactions today, and you're projecting it into even the future, because you're recycling your own personal experiences. So again, you go in, you notice there's a kinesthetic feeling, feel the feeling. When you tap, do not think of it. Don't even think about what it is. Just tap, and you can crazy tap. You tap all over. You can watch a happy movie.
So it doesn't matter.
No. The key to changing and adjusting memories is identify inside you. How do you know?
Okay.
Come out and away, do something that makes you feel good, and then go back and check it and see what's left. Notice what's left, do it again. Now, remember, the mind has many aspects within the cortices. I mean, the brain has, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, motor, all these different cortices in your mind. And sometimes there's many nuances. There could be a sound in your head. It could be the tone. It could be a specific words. It could be the facial expression. It could be a kinesthetic feeling, a tightness in your stomach, your chest, hot, cold, whatever. This is how your limbic system is expressing what's written on the cortices to scare you today. So what we want to do is adjust how we internally represent this thing happening in front of us, and also adjust what happened yesterday. So that gives you real personal power. I call it directed mindfulness. That means you're being very mindful and you're changing your mind right now. You don't have to meditate 3 hours a day for 6 months and hopefully you'll get a change. You get a change in 10 minutes or less.
Yeah, that's why I love it, because it's like we have a tool that we can use in the moment. We don't have to have anybody else to help us. We can work with our emotions. Now, if we have heavy, issues, we need to see somebody to help us. But I love this because right now we have things come up all the time, just that have nothing to do with our past. I mean, they do, but it's just being brought up to our minds because of what they're doing right now to kind of lock us down. And I think for that in itself is a real triggering thing, is being told you can't do things and your freedom's taken away. Yeah.
So again, there's some bizarreness going on and there's some weirdness going on. We all, I have a lot of people, as you know, come to my seminars from all around the world. They all speak different languages, but they have to speak English and understand English.
Mhm.
Every one of these people have what you call an internal translator. They translate my words into their own understandings. They can translate their words into English. But we also have everyone has an internal translator. And what you're doing is you're translating what you experience from happening right now in front of you, and you internalize it, you transform it into your own meanings, and your own translations are built from yesterday's, all your experiences. So what you got to do to be healthier, wiser, to live longer, and to cope in a very productive way is changing internal references and adjusting now, how you respond now, make wise decisions, and keep moving forward.
So Robert, do you feel that you would like to share anything, especially with the people that are listening today, that you particularly think would be helpful from kind of dealing with what we're dealing?
Like what's going on now, or what to do?
Just a little bit about what's happening right now and how we can handle things a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I think is highly important is get involved with groups that are supporting American rights, getting rights of liberty. You can see that our constitutional rights are being violated. They're indoctrinating our children. They're hurting our children. Get involved with your schools. Get involved with doing the right thing. Also find a community of people that may bond together and work together to protect each other, whatever that means for you. Because again, there is a revolution will be happening. There is something that happened in our world. What is occurring is in violation to many rights of us. And we've got to do something that's going to be healthy. The most important thing, guys, do not be driven by fear, but be driven by passion, determination, and do what you know is right for us, the world, and your own survival. So I think a lot of people, they save money for a rainy day. I think you need to start saving money, food, whatever it is, for a rainy day. We're not saying that something bad's going to happen. We don't know, but it doesn't look like it won't happen. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. I kept thinking that somebody's going to come back and then straighten up this mess, and it hasn't happened yet.
I think we're learning that it's going to be up to us that takes charge and changes things in our world. And my view is that I think God is allowing these things to go on to wake us up to what's really happening. And are we going to make a choice? There was one person that I really appreciated what he had to say. He said, I believe that people are finding their purpose in this moment. Like they may have never found their purpose if some of the things that are not going on right now. And people are standing up, finding courage they did not know they had. They're willing to do things they never thought they could do. And that to me is, I think that's what we're all supposed to do, is all reach out and do anything we can to make something better. It might be small, but we can all do something to make our world better and to stand up for what's right. And I feel like it's really our responsibility. But I also know, because I've felt many of this times and time again, of the things that the last 18 months has really triggered me in a great many things. Because if we understand, like anything, like you were saying, sometimes if we can understand maybe why we feel a certain way or where it's coming from, in my mind, there's a little bit of peace in that. Because I knew growing up, things were wrong, but I didn't understand what it was. And it wasn't until I started remembering things and I started to find the pieces. And then it was like, well, yeah, that is traumatic on one hand, but on the other hand, it was like, oh my gosh, now things make sense. Like I can make sense of what has happened to me. And for me, that was really incredibly important, because I blocked everything out.
Well, I mean, I know for you, there's a lot of bad things that happen. I mean, your story, you've shared the story publicly. But just like the woman I worked with, she had really bizarre suicidal behaviors, want to kill herself. She had obsessive compulsive behaviors. She had no idea why. And then we did a session and we opened up Pandora's box, and she thought, oh my God, how did I not know this? It was so blatant, so horrible, horrific, but her brain figured out a way to push it way back. And then even though now she understood why she was suicidal, it didn't change the problem. It just gave her a reason and understanding. Okay, I'm screwed up, but it doesn't mean it unscrews you by knowing what happened. You have to neurologically go make adjustments in those memories.
And
of course,
release the emotional pain of it.
The emotional pain and internal references. Yes.
And I think that's what it did for me, is because I had went to therapy for 20 years, spent all this money, and I remembered a lot, but I still had all the emotional pain. And so things did not change until I started to get rid of that. Yeah. And so that's what I think FasterEFT and Eutaptics did for me, is I was able to release the emotional pain. And once I did that, that's when my whole world changed. Yeah. So I think it's a little bit of both. You know, maybe you don't have to understand everything of your past, but I think for people like me who've been through a lot of abuse and you've blocked out things, you got to know. You know, like some people say, well, I don't want to know, but I don't believe that is, I don't think that's whole. I don't think you become whole that way.
There was a pair of sisters who both raped and nearly killed. They both were shot, but they both lived through it. One of the sisters had full memories of what happened, and she was in a mental institution. The other one had no memory of what happened, and she wasn't in a mental institution. So the brain has this capacity to help understand, but it also has another capacity to tuck it away so you don't go crazy. Yeah. And again, when I'm dealing with people who have obsessive compulsive behavior or paranoid schizophrenia or severe physical abuses in relationships, they have full awareness. It didn't solve it, but they just built on top of it. So there is a kindness to not knowing, but knowing doesn't necessarily mean it changes it unless you go update the memories and references. And so it's very important to make sure that whatever you do, you clean up whatever is revealed. And remember, if it's in you, it's in you. If it's stored in your mind, it's inside you. No matter how much you drink, no matter how much you run, how much you gamble, how much drugs or alcohol or smoking, or how much you work, you take it with you. But once you make peace with what's in there and adjust it to where it doesn't seem real anymore. And the fact is, today is real. Yesterday isn't real anymore. But the brain has captured across the cortices the information. When you go make peace and update and change the information, it sets you free to be even more creative and a more powerful you. And that's really what we're after, is to empower you. You know, although my system is not affiliated with any religion, it's non-religious, it's non-spiritual, but it is very spiritual. And one of the concepts is this, and this is what Jesus had said, those of you who have been the lowest of the low shall be the greatest of the greatest once you make peace with what's inside you. And so again, you know, if you have somebody who's had a simple life and a woman says, it's just not fair. It's just not fair. They were raped, they were beaten, they were abused. I had a good life. And why am I so screwed up? Okay. So again, they could pinpoint why they have problems. And I said, listen, you're not screwed up. You're just talented, and you're using the emotional dynamics in which you're exposed to. And you know, Jonah, little Jonah, well, he's not so little now. He had a good family, but his trauma in their life that affected him, depressed him, and made him feel bad had everything to do with school. What happened at school? So it could be many different things that have an emotional impact on our lives. And once you make peace with it, you have a better life.
And I think that important part, you know, that you teach, and I think that we should bring out, is it's really important to always go to the root of what a problem is, because sometimes people want to deal with the branches, which could be our daily symptoms right now. But guess what? That doesn't mean anything when the root of the problem is back in your childhood at 5 years old, right? So if you don't go to the root, you're always going to be dealing with the same kind of problem.
Yeah. Well, I think to add to that, there's a lot of times, you know, this one thing I hear oftentimes, I have this problem, but I have no memory of why I have it. And so I have a process called the art of change. And basically it's an illicit strategy of your mind to help you understand how your mind actually created this problem from references and experiences. And then once you find the references and experiences, you go make adjustments. My level one, the level one that I teach is you can change your self. And I show you how to do this. I show you the mechanics of your mind. I show you how to update it. I give you a viewpoint and an angle to help change you. And then when we go to level 2, 3, and 4, not only do you learn how to change you, but you also learn how to change others. And the beautiful thing about it, and you know this is a great testament for your changes, is that you get a lot of sessions on yourself by practicing with your fellow colleagues. And I venture to say, even today, you have your buddy that you've learned and picked up from your trainings that you will call and say, hey, I got stuff I need to work through. This is what we do. So we created an environment of everyone helping everyone. And that means we all know, everyone knows on the planet that we have unpleasant experiences. We have behaviors we don't like. We have things we'd like to overcome. And in knowing that is great, but knowing how to change that is worth $1 million health dollars. And that's what I create a system that the whole network helps each other. And that way you grow and change. And then I always say, my philosophy for myself is I'm changing the world one person at a time, starting with me and touching and affecting everyone I meet. That's my philosophy. That's my viewpoint. And I think you should have that too. Learn to help you. And I'll say this one more thing. This is another one from the great teachers. He says, you'll love your neighbor as you love yourself, as you love yourself. You will despise your neighbor as you despise yourself. You will hate your father as you hate yourself. You will hate your ex-husband as you hate yourself. Because remember, it's coming from within you. Clean it up, change it up, create a better life for you.
And I love that you say that, but I'm going to be a little stinker and say, what do you mean by clean it up? Even though I know what you mean, you're talking to me. I know what you mean, but like if I've never met you before, what does he mean clean it up? I don't know what that means.
Okay. So clean up means go to the memories.
Okay.
And change the memory. And
now how do you change the memory?
Yeah,
like, just give me a short description. Like, how do I change a memory? That sounds crazy. Well, I'm just giving you a hard time.
Okay, I understand. You're just helping other people. So here's the key. To understand the lay of the mind. Okay, so we hold memories inside of ourselves. All right, so that means if you go back and visit a bad memory, who's the movie director of your bad memory? It's you, right? If you go to a good memory, who's the director of the good memory? You. So if you have bad memories and you're the movie director of the memory, who are all the actors inside the memory? Do remember this, your father cannot fit inside your mind. It's not that big. So every person inside you is really about you. It's not about them. You captured it, you organize it, you play it, and you make yourself feel bad with it or good. So every person inside your mind is yourself. And if you visit an unpleasant memory, who's doing it to you? You. All right. So understanding this, so that means, yes, we know it happened. It's over. You're not 5 years old. You're not 7 years old. You're today. So we use these references inside of ourselves to torment ourselves. And of course, if Laura, if you go to one of your abusers and say, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, and they say, go screw yourself. I hate you. All right. So now what are you going to do? You try to forgive them. They won't forgive you. You won't set you free. But I'm teaching what we call ultimate forgiveness. That means ultimate forgiveness is forgiving you by changing the memories that hurt you. And you don't need to forgive them because you're free from within yourself. It's like, I'll never forgive them. I'll forgive them, but I'll never forget, because it's like you're drinking a poison that's actually destroying you from within you. And then you'll pick relationships that mirror your father, your mother, or you see the world events like your childhood. So you've got to learn how to make peace with yourself, and make peace with yourself is changing everything that's unpleasant within yourself. And as you do that, you emotionally evolve, spiritually evolve, become more empowered, because your value is yours, not other people.
And I'd like to comment on your forgiveness point. Is I hear a lot of people, like, especially in church, and they say, oh, I forgive you because we're commanded to forgive, right? But I gave a talk in church recently, and I said how important it is to understand that if you do not process and heal what's inside of you, it is impossible to forgive. And if you say you forgive, you are not telling the truth, because you have not forgiven, because that pain is still in your heart. And you can say it all day long, but it doesn't make it true. And true forgiveness comes from the heart, just like you said, but you have to work through and process. So for me, if you have a hurt that you can't forgive somebody, it's not the first step, but it is the last step when you've processed and healed. And in this area using Eutaptics, you can truly release what happened, so you can feel forgiveness automatically. And that's what I think is so important, that because we all have people we need to forgive, but we can't do it right off the bat.
Can I pause you for a second? You don't need to forgive anybody. You need to let it go from inside you. You're the ones holding unforgiveness. You're the one who's drinking the poison, thinking them. You need to forget. You need to let it go from you.
Well, right. That's what I mean. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I know, but it almost sounds like you got to go forgive them. You got to change what you hold against them, which is really against yourself.
Right. And unfortunately, though, we're all taught a different scenario. We're taught we have to do this, to forgive, and you just can't do it until you.
I would say I would change the word forgive is to release it from inside you, transform it. Because again, you don't need to forgive anybody. You just need to let it go from within you and change it. Yeah. And then, by the way, they don't get off scot-free. They don't get off scot-free. They have their own emotional torments. Your torment is like somebody said, I need to forgive my father, but he's been dead for 30 years. I'm still pissed off at him. Who is drinking the poison? Not your father.
Right.
I mean, like I asked my mom, said, do you remember when we were kids, you'd at night we'd be playing and then you'd stick me in the closet and you would leave me there all night long and I'd wake up in the closet. She goes, I never did that. I said, I was there, but they don't remember that because it's not a part of their thinking anymore. So who is holding it against them? My son, my oldest son. Now back in the early days, Robert wasn't so emotionally intelligent. I had problems. All right. So my son and I were in Scotland and we're at this restaurant eating haggis, never ate it before. And he said, Dad, do you remember the day you almost burnt the house down? I go, no, what happened? I don't even remember. I don't even recall it. He goes, well, you have honeybees and you was boiling the sugar water and you left it. And then the smoke was barreling out of the house and you ran up and you spanked me and you ran inside the house. I go, I don't remember that. I'm sorry. I said, Dad, how can you forget it? It scarred me. I said, I'm sorry. I had problems then, I don't even remember doing it at all. So again, who's holding this against his dad? He is. And I apologize. I said, I'm sorry. I wish, I probably didn't even know I did it. It's just like an automatic, my daddy trance or something, from my dad. Who knows? Right. But again, we do things and we're the one who's holding the burn within ourselves. It's like Buddha says, those who hold the hot coals of anger get burnt. Those who hold the hot coals of unforgiveness are burning themselves. So again, you don't need to forgive anybody. You need to set yourself free from those memories and your life gets better.
Okay.
Some will not. Some will not do that because again, that gives them great value.
Right. And they want to hold on to those feelings. Mm-hmm. So anyway, okay. So one helpful statement, and we're going to go ahead and end the interview. Anything that you would just like to give people hope right now, as what we're all going through? Just anything that you would like to give them?
Well, one thing I say often, and I really mean it with the sincerity of my heart, is that learn how to love yourself and like yourself from within yourself. Because what you hold within yourself, you do to yourself. And you also do it to other people. And do remember, hurt people hurt others, and they justify it. What's going on in the world today, do something that will keep you in a healthy place, make a difference in the world, do the right thing, stand up for what is right, defend what is right, and be kind. Okay.
And we've just given everybody a tool that you can use to help you with stress or depression, anger, addictions, anything you're really going through. Robert Smith has a healing channel, Healing Magic, I think it is, on YouTube channel. And there's about 1,500 videos that he instructs, different ways that you can help yourself. Lots of demonstrations. You can work with him. I did that in the beginning. I tapped along with him, his demonstrations, and just kind of use my own problems.
Also, my website is skillstochange.com.
Okay.
We do have every week 2 tap-alongs. That means on Tuesdays, we're working with weight, food issues. And on Thursday, which is today's Thursday, we have a post trauma tapping. So we're helping people change specific memories of trauma. It starts Central Time, 7 o'clock, both of them. Today's the first day. This is October, so today's the first day for the trauma. You can go to skillstochange.com, check it out. Big changes. A lot of people had major changes in big places. So learn how to love yourself, like yourself.
All right. Thank you, Robert, for showing up today for this interview. And we appreciate everything you said, and hope everybody can find something that will help them get through this time. And sticking together is a big part of it. Just stay connected to your family, your friends, and anybody you can.
I did want to say one more thing. I'm very proud
Sure.
of you, Laura. You've done a great job in your life. Very honored that you had me to invite me to.
Oh, thank you, Robert. Thanks for all the help you've given me.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
Take care.
Bye.
So, all right. Now what I want to do is stop the recording.
Okay. Stop.
Okay.
You
So
have to stop the YouTube one too.
I think that's over now.
Yeah.
Let me see if the
No,
live
it's
is
still on
over.
YouTube. Yeah. Or just close it. We'll come back, talk later.
Okay. All right.
End.
Okay.
No, you're still on YouTube. You're still live.
I am. Okay.
Yeah, it says it on my thing. So you're gonna have to just turn it off. Just leave the thing and we'll come back and talk.